This is your application specialist, Adam Best, at FREY Municipal Software. Today, I'll be demonstrating some great tips and tricks for the CHIPS Payroll System Release 17. This will be a wonderful opportunity for you to explore and learn how to get more value from your CHIPS payroll system. I have 12 items to share with you in today's demonstration, so let's get started. For the first tip and trick, we're going to look at bulk withholding invoices. There are two different ranges in bulk withholding invoices I'm going to show you. So if we go down here to Payroll Create Bulk Withholding Invoices, we can see here that there's the deduction code range and the tax code range bulk withholding invoices. Both allow the user to select the deduction code range or the tax code range in a from and to area. Like for example, let's press OK here, and we can see all the bulk withholding invoices on the screen. Now, if I wanted to see just the people that have the city tax here, I can go from and to the city tax. I can press OK, and you can see here that I have a smaller range. We can use any kind of combination of the deduction codes and tax codes to create a more narrow results for you. For the second tip and trick, we're going to look at the new CHIPS 17 payroll option of exclude additional taxes. Now first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and show an example of adding additional taxes. So before we go into time payroll and we look at exclude additional taxes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into employees, employee maintenance, and we're going to pick the first person here, and we're going to go to payroll taxes, and then on the federal right here, I'm going to make it nice and easy to be able to see I'm going to add $150 of additional payroll taxes. I'm going to press the OK button here. I'm going to close out, and now when I go to payroll and time payroll processing, I'm going to go ahead and select a date here, and when I add it here, I'm going to add the person in, and with CHIPS 17, once we put in the hours here and we put everything in like we would in a normal payroll, there's this exclude additional taxes option in here. Now first, I'm going to run the payroll without that option selected, and then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to select this option and run it again to show you how that it can exclude payroll taxes. I'm going to go and press OK, and I'm going to process it just like a normal payroll here. And then first, we're going to go in here and we're going to calculate payroll. I'm going to leave everything selected, and I'm going to press the OK button. Now if we preview this report, we're going to go ahead and look in here, and I'm going to scroll down, and you can see the federal taxes here is $265.80. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. I'm going to go back into time payroll. I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to exclude additional taxes. So those additional amounts that we added on there, and this would be useful for something maybe like special event pay, or something where maybe these additional taxes should not be taken out. Now once I press the OK button and go through here, and I go to calculate payroll, I'm going to go ahead and go OK. Let's go and let's preview it. And once we get in here, we can scroll down, and we can see that the federal amount is now $115.80. So it's excluding those additional taxes from being taken out. For the third tip and trick, we're going to talk about tax codes and tables. During the CHIPS 17 conversion, there are some changes to taxes. Taxes can now have the default check description in here, and if we go in here, we go to General Tax Codes and Tables, that we can see in here we have our tax codes and tables as they've currently been set up. We press the Add button. We can now categorize them as federal, state, city, county, local, and school taxes. The new checks descriptions will print on the employee's checks and allow taxes to be better categorized in the CHIPS system. So if we go in here and let's select a local tax, and let's just call it LO here, and I'm going to go and press OK, you can see now that we can set up this tax with the description here and everything that we need to set up just for that local tax. For the fourth tip and trick, we're going to talk about employees' worker comp defaults. There is now an option in System Controls to set up a default workers' comp classification code. To find this classification code, we need to go here to General, System Controls, click on the Edit button, and on the Controls tab here, there's a new default option in the lower right hand screen with workers' comp classification. We can click on here and we can click on one of the workers' comp classifications, and that will be the default that will be set up in the system. This can be a time saver when adding employees, and you no longer have to select that workers' comp code. It will automatically be defaulted into the system. For example, if I exit out of here and I go into employees, and we're going to go ahead and add an employee, that I can just make up a number here, and if I go to here, we can see that the workers' comp is already defaulted and already filled in for us. For the fifth tip and trick, we're going to talk about employee deduction earning report. This report will easily be accessible through employees reports employee deduction earnings. If we click here under employee deduction earnings, we see the employee deduction earnings report, and this will easily list employees by their deduction frequency. We have the options here of daily, weekly, bi-weekly, semi-annual, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annually. And when all the options are selected, like if we go in here and we just go ahead and just run this, we'll go ahead and we'll see all employees and all their deductions that when their frequency is taken out. So you can see here, like, these are all bi-weekly. Now if I want to go ahead and close this and I want to go back into that report, and after we go through that report, like in here, for example, let's just go ahead and let's just select monthly. And then we only have monthly showing in here, that only the monthly employee deduction earnings will show on here. We're going to go and press OK. And if we preview that report, you see here, now we see the monthly deduction earnings showing up on here. For the sixth tip and trick, we're going to talk about GL account search. When searching for a GL account, the search option has been changed so that the inactive checkbox is now unchecked by default. Where that is when we go in here into employee maintenance, we click on edit on any employee, and on the payroll tab you distribute to these general ledger codes in here. And it's set up by, we can search in here and we can use that, and where that option is here, this inactive checkbox is unchecked by default. This will help prevent a user from accidentally assigning an inactive account to distribute to, so distribution always works properly and goes to active distribution accounts. For the seventh tip and trick, we're going to talk about check direct deposit watermark image. If you print a watermark on your check stubs or direct deposit stubs, you are now able to center the watermark image. To do this, we'll go to General System Controls, click on the Edit button, and on the direct deposit, we're going to look at direct deposits first. Down here at the bottom, you have direct deposit stub watermark image. When you select this and you put your image on here, we have this new checkbox in here for center watermark on page. The same option is available for when you do the check stub and you have check stub reprint watermark image. You can have the watermark image print on here, and you can also center that watermark image by selecting that option on there to center watermark on page. For the eighth tip and trick, we're going to look at employee maintenance. There's a new payroll taxes tab that's right next to the payroll tab. So if we go into employee maintenance, we click on edit, and we go, here's the payroll tab, here's the payroll taxes tab. Now in the payroll taxes tab, is here where we have the FICA exempt, the EIC certificates, if it's 2020 or later W-4 information, multiple jobs, federal tax table need to be selected. If you have your W-4 dependent total, W-4 other income, and W-4 deductions. Also on this tab, we have the expanded taxes that we've added into the CHIP system. So here we have the federal tax, we have the state tax, we have the city tax, we have the county tax, we have the local tax, we have the school tax, and we have the other state tax, all on the screen that you could add in additional amounts or additional percentages. You can put in the state code, the city code, the county tax code, the local code, or school tax code if any of those apply. For the ninth tip and trick, we're going to pick the withholding invoices report. The withholding invoices report in CHIPS release version 16 only had one range for both the deduction codes and the tax codes. The update 17 release separates them, so then there is a separate deduction code range and a tax code range, and you can specify any thereof. So let's go ahead and let's look at that. If we go to payroll withholding invoices report, we can go in here, we can see that we can specify a deduction code range and from and to that, or a tax code range. Let's go ahead and let's look at the report without any information withheld. So we can see here that we see all the information that's in here. Now I'm going to specify of it being from and to just the city tax, just so we could, therefore we could go any amount of deduction codes or tax codes or anything thereof. We can press OK. And now when we pull this up, we can see that we have a much smaller report in here. And we can see, we add up just by those city tax codes. Now if I wanted to, I could go up here and I could do the same thing by deduction code if I wanted to look at it just by a certain deduction. We could either see it through the deduction codes or through tax codes. For the 10th tip and trick, we're going to look at taxes. New taxes for county, local, and schools have been added throughout CHIPS 17 release. These new taxes are in many parts of the system. The first part of the system we're going to look at is for your existing departments. That you have departments set up in CHIPS, and if we go into the departments, we click on Edit on these departments, under the state, city, county, local, school account, you can see that those have been added in here as well. They'll be modified and need to be have information put in so it goes to a correct account accordingly. Another place that taxes have been put in at is for any appropriate deduction earning codes. If we go to those deduction earning codes, we can see down here to either exempt or include them into any of the local tax or the school tax or any of those county taxes or anything. But then information is added in here as well. And then in reports, the tax information has been added in. So if we go into reports and we go into the history report, and let's go ahead and let's pull up that history report. You can see when the history report comes up, here's the state, local, and school taxes have been added in there as well. So you can see those that they're on the reports. And then for another one of the modifications is if we close out of here and we go to General System Controls Edit, and on the Controls tab, that we can see here that it can be required to have state tax, county tax, and local tax. They're all right in here, and they can be required to be on there as well. That we can have all the information that's in there. And then finally on the tax part of it, that we can see if we go in here to General Taxes, and we can see that it's no longer abbreviated out in the names, that we have them fully spelled out. And that's when you go to add, and you can see that we now have federal, state, city, county, local, and schools. They're fully spelled out, so it's very easy to tell which one goes with which. And all these changes we'll be able to see in taxes, reports, employee maintenance, and even in the W-2 programs. For the 11th tip and trick, we're going to look at the COVID-19 changes. User-defined pay types now include COVID-19 information checkbox. Let's go in here to General dash user-defined pay types, and if we go into one of these user-defined pay types and we click on the Edit button, you can see in here that it has a COVID-19 pay information box that you can check here, and then a W2 box 14 description that you fill in here. Once that is selected and this user-defined pay type is used, if employee was paid using a user-defined pay type that was flagged as COVID-19 pay, when the W2 is printed, box 14 will print the description along with the total payment amount for the pay type. If the employee has multiple pay types, multiple W2 forms will print. The 12th and final tip and trick is employee reports. All of the employee reports have an option screen to return to this option screen after the report finishes processing. For example, I'm just going to go ahead and look at the history report. The history report has this return to this option screen after the report finishes processing. You can click on that, then you click on OK, and you can preview and pull up the report here, and then once we're done with the report, and go ahead and close. And it's going to bring me right back here. Now the cool thing is, if we have these options selected, when I go in here and pull up the report and it brings it up again, I can close it and all the different options that I change will be on there. So then that way all modifications, it keeps it on there, and I don't have to go back and reselect those options every time I go in here and make changes. And that's going to be on all these different reports under the reports feature for CHIPS. This concludes the CHIPS Payroll System Release 17 Tips and Tricks presentation. This is Adam Best. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and picked up on many of the items that will enhance your daily CHIPS payroll experience. If you have any questions over any of the material that I covered in this presentation, please don't hesitate to contact support at FREY. The number is 1-800-659-3739. I repeat, that number is 1-800-659-3739. We will be happy to assist you. Thank you.